Hi everyone, my name is Gravy and welcome to my review of episode 9, or the finale of the HBO Max series, The Last of Us.
Hey friend, don't worry, I don't want anything. But if you're feeling lost...
Tell me to look for the light and I'll break your jaw.
Alright, first order of business, and I know you guys are thinking she's gonna say spoiler warning, but I'm not. Because you need to see this first. My dad made this for me. Oh, I hope I kept my little picture I drew. I drew David with some hearts. Isn't that sick? Isn't it so sick? Shout out to Gravy Dad. Oh, it's so exciting. You guys don't even know. All right. Okay, back to it. Back to it. I just really want to show you guys that. I think it's very cool. Here's a close-up of my I'm good. Here's a close-up of my masterpiece of my cat, David. I'm an artist. Okay, back to it. Here's your spoiler warning. If you haven't seen the Last of Us series, or you haven't played the games, and you want to do either one of those things, don't watch this video. This is going to be some major spoilers because it's literally the finale. If you don't want spoilers, do not watch. Alright. This was everything I expected it to be, right? With a little bit more at the beginning. So let's start there. Let me get my notes out. Start out with a lady running through the forest. She's pregnant. Super pregnant. It's Ashley Johnson, who plays Ellie in the game, so very exciting moment. Also very hard to hear her like yell and stuff, and it's literally Ellie's voice. It was kind of wild.
Take her with you. Her name is Ellie. Ellie. Ellie is the little girl. Broke your finger.
She's running and she sees an old farmhouse and it has a firefly emblem on it. She runs into that old farmhouse and she's yelling for people, but no one seems to be there. She runs upstairs, locks herself in by pushing a chair against the door, and she sits on the floor and her water breaks. So yikes. She has the same knife that Ellie has throughout the series. Then you hear running footsteps up to her door. It's an infected making its way into the room. Just gets right in her face because he breaks through the door. Just gets right in her face. And she stabs the infected with Ellie's knife once again. Kills it. Then she looks down and she gave birth while she was being attacked. There's just a baby on the floor. As she looks down to see baby, she sees that she also got bit on the inside of her thigh. She quickly cuts the umbilical cord so no infected blood gets into the baby. At this point, we realize that it is indeed Ellie. Cut to later in the night where Marlene is now back and she walks up the stairs and she sees Anna on the floor holding the baby. And she's also singing an 80s song as a lullaby. Marlene obviously knows Anna. They're obviously friends. She explains to Marlene that she hasn't been nursing Ellie, so Ellie's going to be hungry because she didn't want to nurse her in case that would transfer cordyceps into the baby. She then lies to Marlene and says that she was bit after she cut the umbilical cord, which is interesting because it likely saved Ellie's life, because I don't know if Marlene would have let the baby live necessarily if she knew that she was bit, because Marlene is like that. So I thought that was a little interesting thing. She gives her the knife and it's like, oh, I'll give this to Ellie when she's older.
You pick her up right now, and then you kill me.
So she basically wants Marlene to take Ellie to Boston, give her to someone there. And Marlene basically is like, no, I'm not gonna do that. She's like, no. She walks out with the baby. And then you're like, wow, she's really not gonna shoot Anna? That's kind of effed up. She gives the baby to the other firefly she's with, and then she's like, cover its ears. So you're like, oh, she's gonna shoot Anna. And then she goes in the room and shoots Anna. No warning, just goes in there and shoots her. Next up, present day. We cut to Ellie as she's having kind of like a flashback, but not really because she was a baby. She seems very quiet. All the sound is muted. Very reminiscent of Joel's earlier stress in episode 6. Joel's obviously trying to talk to her. He talks about how he found Boggle and Chef Boyardee.
Beefaroni, Chef Boyardee.
What am I even eating?
That is 20-year-old Chef Boyardee ravioli.
That guy is good.
I actually agree.
Oh, cool.
She's just non-responsive. He's the more talkative one. Huge role reversal right here. She's obviously still traumatized from the whole David situation and, Henry and Sam and Tess and everything else that's happened. And she's obviously stressed out for the upcoming future. Joel says he wants to teach her guitar. That's a dad right there. They're still looking around for the hospital. As they're going through buildings, nice little game mechanic thrown in there because he's like, oh, go, I'll boost you up there and then you'll drop the ladder. That made me laugh because you do that like all the time in the game. Except when she gets to the ladder, she just like drops the ladder. I was like, huh. But I thought that was a nice little game thing in there. When Joel gets up there, he sees the reason Ellie dropped the ladder, and it's because she found giraffes. She found a big giraffe and she gets to feed the giraffe. You could just see the look of love Joel has on his face as he's watching Ellie feed this giraffe. Then they go around and they see more giraffes. It's like a whole family of giraffes, and Ellie is just so excited. Her mood is lifted with the sight of these giraffes.
Is it everything you hoped for?
Jury's still out. Got its ups and downs. But man, you can't deny that view.
Joel gives Ellie the option of they can just go back and they can go back to Tommy's, call it a day. They don't have to go through with this. Like, they can just go back to Tommy's and be fine. When Joel mentions that they don't have to go through with it, Ellie says, like, oh, afterwards they can be like sheep ranchers on the moon. Call back to the earlier episode. Love that. And she's like, no, we have to finish what we started. Understandable.
After all we've been through, everything that I've done.
It can't be for nothing.
They leave the giraffe building and they get to a hospital with a whole bunch of tents set up. Joel explains that it was the military's way of trying to help people when cordyceps first hit, early days. So it hasn't all been super used. Joel and Ellie have a bit of a heart-to-heart at this point, and they start talking about stuff that we haven't necessarily been through. Ellie mentions Sarah, and Joel mentions that he tried to take his own life after Sarah passed because he just couldn't. There was just nothing else to live for. When he pulled the trigger, he flinched, so he missed, and that's why he has the scar on his face. She says, like, time heals all wounds.
It wasn't time that did it.
You could tell that Ellie's the one that actually healed all of his wounds, which is so heartwarming. So heartwarming. After this really emotional conversation, she pulls out her pun book. Makes an apocalypse joke, makes a couple other jokes, and then in the background you could see people, and they throw a flashbang, and they take Ellie again. Joel is hit in the head with a rifle, so he's knocked out. The scene shifts into a hospital where Joel is waking up, and Marlene is there. She then, casually mentions that Ellie's being prepped for surgery, so Joel can't see her. They're gonna remove cordyceps, because the cordyceps has been growing in her for years. So they're gonna remove the cordyceps. They're then going to produce the chemical messengers that her brain has been producing, and then they're gonna have a cure. But cordyceps lives in the brain. So they're gonna kill Ellie. Bummer. Joel's obviously not happy about this. Yeah, he's just not happy about this. She's like, I have no other choice. He's like, I do. And then, they hit him, so he doesn't fight because he obviously fought super hard to get here, so they know what he's capable of. And Marlene at this point can see that he has this emotional connection towards Ellie. They're taking Joel, they're going to take him outside, and then they gave him Ellie's knife. As they're taking him down the stairwell, Joel kills both of the soldiers, and then we get muted sound once again. Kind of shows just how focused the characters are in these stressful situations by muting all of the other sound. And so he basically kills everyone at this hospital. Like, pretty much everyone. Getting some crazy kill shots in, though. Not great for the Fireflies. So he finds pediatric surgery and he goes in the room and he sees Ellie being prepped. And I actually think the hospital scene in the show versus the game, they are drastically different for a very specific reason. In the show, you don't necessarily see Joel killing a lot of people. Yeah, he kills people. We've seen him brutally kill people, but we haven't seen him kill like mass amounts of people like he does in the hospital. But in the game, you have to clear levels and you have to kill people like this all the time in the game. And so I feel like in the show, it feels a lot more drastic from like, oh, he killed 1 or 2 people in the past to, wow, he's killing a ton of people. I think that feels very different when you're watching it versus when you're playing the game and you're just like, oh, I'm just clearing another level. You know what I mean? So it feels much more brutal in the show than it necessarily does while you're playing the game. The doctor's like, he's like, Joel's like, unhook her. And he's like, the doctor's like, no. And he pulls out his little scalpel. So Joel shoots him.
I won't let you take her.
Unhook her.
And then we focus in real close on the doctor. Fatal flaw. I'm not going to talk about it. If you know, you know, but I'm not going to talk about it because we're just not there in the TV show yet, and there's no point in getting into that. I really wish he didn't do that. Really wish he didn't do that. So he has the nurses unhook Ellie.
Animal!
I'm not going to talk about it. If you know, you know. He carries her out. Very reminiscent of him holding Sarah in the very first episode. And they get to the parking garage and he gets to the car and then Marlene's there. And she's like, we can forget about this. Like, all the people you've killed, whatever. She's just giving him a spiel just to, like, get him to Ellie. And then she's like, oh, well, Ellie would want to do what's right. And whatever. You know what? Marlene, you don't know her. Like, at all. You opted to give her to someone else, and that was your best friend's baby. It was a newborn. You gave her to someone else. So I don't want to hear your opinion. I don't want to hear it. Okay? He's the father that stepped up. Not the stepdad. The dad that stepped up. Okay. That was a sidebar, sorry. So she's like, oh, she'd want to do what's right. And then it cuts to Joel in the car. And then Ellie is still in her hospital down in the back. And she's like, what happened? And then he fully lies and says like, oh, well, there's a whole bunch of immune people. And they realized that they didn't even need you anyway. Like, it's okay. They have other immune people. So Joel's lying. He's saying they stopped looking for a cure. They have a whole bunch of immune people. Like, blah, blah, blah. It doesn't work kind of thing. Whatever. Said the raiders attacked the hospital. So a lot of people died.
Is Marlene okay?
Doesn't say that Marlene's okay or not okay, so you can assume that she's not okay. And she's like, okay. And then she like turns her back to him. And then he says, I'm sorry to himself and to Ellie, but I don't think he's necessarily saying it to Ellie. He's just saying it in general. And then it cuts back to the parking garage where he shot Marlene. Under Ellie, he had his gun and then shot her from under Ellie like this. It cuts back to the car. And then we cut to my personal favorite scene from the game where Marlene's like, no, like just spare me. Like, let me go. And then he's like, you just come after her. And then he shoots her. So Marlene is very dead. They're driving back to Wyoming. They don't have enough gas, so they're going to have to do a 5-hour hike.
We gotta walk the rest of the way. Probably about a 5-hour hike. But we can manage that.
How much longer?
5-hour hike.
We can manage that. Yeah.
He's talking about Sarah and comparing them and how like they would like each other and all this stuff. And then Ellie tells him about Riley and confirms what the audience believed is that she had to kill Riley after Riley was infected. That was her first kill. And that sucks. I was really hoping that she just like died. But no. And that's a real bummer for Ellie. And then she's like, swear everything you told me about the Fireflies is true. And he says, I swear. He's lying. And she's like,
Okay.
and you can tell she doesn't believe him. Like, not deep down, but I just think this is something she has to believe so she doesn't, I don't know, feel like that she wasn't able to save people because of someone that she loves. And that's the end of the episode and the end of season 1. Just want to talk about a few things. First of all, thought it was very interesting that we now have a theory as to why Ellie is immune. It's because the umbilical cord was still attached when Anna got bit. So I'm guessing she just had like a little bit of cordyceps, like enough of cordyceps to not infect her brain, but to give it to her so it would grow without infecting her. And so I thought that was really interesting. Loved seeing Ashley Johnson, obviously. At the end of the day, I'm a Joel apologist. If you don't agree with me, I don't know what to tell you. There's really nothing that can change my mind. I think he did what he had to do. And I know how everyone's like, oh, Ellie would want to save the world. Yeah, she would. But she would also weigh the consequences, I think. That would kill Joel. And I don't know. And we don't know what she would choose ultimately because no one asked her. Marlene annoys me. Even though Merle Dandridge did a great job. Marlene annoys me because she's like, oh, like she wouldn't want, you wouldn't know. You wouldn't know. Joel knows Ellie better than anyone. And yeah, she would probably choose to be a cure. But that's his daughter. Sometimes things need to be done. Okay? As for season 2, I'm not going to say anything. Really fantastic series overall. 10 out of 10, basically. That'll be my rating. It's a 10 out of 10 series. I think the fact that this was so, like, loved by people outside of the gaming community was really crazy to think about. It was so widespread. It was much more widespread than I thought it was going to be. I think it did a fantastic job of hooking people who don't play video games while also staying true to the video game. Everything about it was fantastic. My favorite episode personally was still episode 5. I love that storyline in the game. It was brilliantly done in the series. Yeah, I'm a Joel apologist. All the way. I think that's all I have to say. Let me know what you thought about the series in the comments below. Let me know what you would rate it or if you're a Joel apologist or not, because, you know, it's always interesting. Also, feel free to subscribe if you like this video. I have a bunch of other videos coming and very excited to share everything with you. And I will be making more reviews. It just might be more movie tailored. I don't know if I'll necessarily stick to shows, but if you have something you want me to review, let me know in the comments. I'd love to have more suggestions. Feel free to leave a like if you like this video and you want me to make more content like this in the future. Also, hit the notification button so you can get alerted when I do make more content. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much again for watching. I really hope you enjoyed. Thank you again for watching. Thank you so much for watching. Thank you, everyone. Thank you for watching my review. Thank you so much again for watching. I really appreciate it. This has been the Last of Us series, and I have enjoyed going through it with you guys. Thanks again. Have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.
I was supposed to take her to the Fireflies and walk away.
Jesus Christ, Joel. What do you do?
I saved her.